What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Too Much to Watch. I'm your host, Sean. Today, we're going to go over my review and my thoughts on Season 1 of Marvel Studios' Falcon and the Winter Soldier. As you know, the MCU is continuing after the events of Endgame, and the first couple steps after the pandemic and after the movies have been pushed back. We have gotten our first couple of tastes of what Marvel can do under the guise of the Disney Plus app. So earlier in the year, we got our first glimpse within WandaVision. I didn't do a review on WandaVision. I very much enjoyed it. Spoiler for me and not doing a full review video on WandaVision, but I really enjoyed it. Very interesting show, very cool concept, and what they've opened up and what the MCU could be going forward really took a great turn. Very interesting, very creative turn there. So I'm very excited to see that piece of, in that part of the MCU going forward. But today we're going to do a review of what just wrapped up in the MCU, and that is Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The continuing adventures of Cap's best friends, Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, a.k.a. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't seen Endgame before, go back and watch it. What are you doing here if you haven't? But as we know, the end of Endgame saw Cap return the stones through time, and he also went back and went out and lived his own life, finished his life out with Peggy. But in turn, he came back and gave Sam the shield. So cool. Sam Wilson, the Falcon, is the heir apparent to Cap. But it's not just as easy, and we find in the show it's not super easy to just take the shield and just become Captain America. So the events of this show pick up kind of in their storylines where that leaves off. The Falcon is continuing to do his work through the world. Special operations. We find Sam doing a special op right off the bat with the first few minutes of the first scene in the first episode. Wonderful action, great scene there. Real quick, there will be spoilers throughout this review. I'll try to keep it a little shorter than some of my other videos, but there was some really good stuff in this show, and I do want to talk about it. But as we see, getting back to it, we see Sam continuing his operations as Falcon, and we see Bucky as the Winter Soldier, still kind of dealing with his previous life, another kind of with Cap, a man out of time, but the events of his life have led up to some very dark, twisted areas, and he's still trying to get through that through therapy and through different means of trying to bring people in that he's affected through his life and befriend them, and so it's not a super wonderful situation going on for Bucky, but we are introduced to a terrorist group called the Flag Smashers, who really have a problem with the way the world has become since the blip has happened and people have returned from Thanos' snap, and what Tony Stark pulled off to bring everybody back. So it kind of continues their adventures and their friendship, or lack thereof at times. Wonderful chemistry between Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. They've always had it, that bickering best friend of Cap, who's the better friend, brother type bickering, but the two of them really do have a lot of chemistry. Really good casting there with those two. Throughout the show, we see the struggles of being a superhero for Sam, trying to live up to being a hero, being selected as Cap's replacement. Can he handle that? Basically, he doesn't handle it. He gives the shield back. And the U.S. decides to enlist a new Captain America, John F. Walker, played by Wyatt Russell, who was absolutely incredible in this role. Spoiler alert for his character, he ends up becoming the U.S. agent, due to some unforeseen or possibly for some foreseen issues within his own life and his own struggles, truly with PTSD, and we do find out some of that. But it's their kind of Bucky and Sam's issues with watching a new Cap and his role in the world and within Avengers and the government, and trying to track down these so-called terrorists of the Flag Smashers. Through the show, we get reintroduced to Zemo, Daniel Brühl's Zemo, Baron Zemo, to track these people down as they become super soldiers. They found serum being made, and they are taking it and becoming super soldiers, just like Cap. So overall, and I kind of give you a brief overview, and we'll talk about the end kind of separately. But what you're really coming for is, for me at least, is the chemistry between Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. Again, they really do have a lot of great chemistry, very funny, good banter, but some struggles. Again, Anthony Mackie, Sam has some struggles at home with juggling this and kind of following through with his family. His sister and him are basically, given a fishing business through their deceased parents, and the struggle of him kind of showing up and trying to fix everything, but not really following through. And, Bucky's, again, struggles of his past and how he kind of fits into the world and his own world. And their struggles in their real life versus just becoming heroes. Their interaction with John Walker and as the new Cap is very good. All the banter with Zemo, Daniel Brühl's Zemo, and them is very good. The show falters outside of that. We do get Sharon Carter back. Emily Van Camp comes back as Sharon Carter, and her role as a kind of an underworld broker in the I can't remember the country now. I'm kind of forgetting. But we do get some reintroduction of characters. I do find the Flag Smashers part, the terrorist parts, a little lacking. They do have a purpose. They're not just truly terrorists, but we get the interactions there and kind of their roles is a little muddled at times. It really is to me the most interesting parts of the show. The character development of Sam and Bucky really do, and John Walker as to an extent too. Their kind of character development as they grow into their future roles. This show is not shy away from some of the topical issues we're all dealing with today, with race and government control and things like that. The Isaiah Bradley as a black super soldier back in the 50s and 60s, or I think that was around the 50s and 60s, basically held in prison because of the experiments done on him, and rather him becoming a black superhero, they basically imprisoned him, and the struggles of Sam understanding that, and should he continue the legacy, should he help that, or should he just stay back in the background? Is the world ready for a black Captain America? There's a lot of issues that, and again, topical things we deal with today. Also, PTSD is a big struggle here, or a big storyline here. Struggle for some of the characters with both Bucky and John Walker and their history, their storylines. So very nice performances throughout this show. But again, some of the show does falter. Some of the kind of storylines don't necessarily flesh out very well. What you're coming to see, though, in this show is, for me at least, is Sam coming into his own, realizing who he is, realizing what he should be, not only to the world, to himself, to his family, but the world is ready for a black Captain America. Sam has been the crux of the show. And spoiler alert for the end of the show, Sam does take back up the shield after John Walker's devastating live execution of a terrorist, where he is stripped of the shield and the Captain American name, and through some of Bucky and some Wakandan technology, we get ourselves a new Cap. Sam Wilson's full suit is in this, and he becomes Cap, the new Cap. And it is a wonderful sight to see. Anthony Mackie is a wonderful actor, very charismatic. But I had this debate before of, and I think there's a very long debate out there of what, should it be Cap or should it be Sam or should it be Bucky? To me, it always should have been Sam. Sam has been by Cap's side through every iteration of the MCU, and has the same ideals and the same character as Cap. And that's why Cap gives him the shield at the end of Endgame. He expected him to do the same. I think he even says, I'll do my best. And Cap says, that's why, I know that's why you're getting this. There is no better Cap at the moment. Steve Rogers wanted him to have this shield, knowing who he is and knowing who he would become. So it was wonderful to see him come into his own. At the end of Endgame, you kind of see him take the shield from Cap, and you just assume, he's just going to get the role. And, it is a struggle to take the mantle from a man like Steve Rogers. And even though he says you should be it, I can understand why he would be hesitant and be able not to live up to, or think he could not live up to. Very, very powerful stuff. Again, the show falters in some areas with the Power Broker and the Flag Smashers. I think are all a little underdeveloped storylines. But you're coming here for the acting. You're coming here for the action. And I truly believe this is a good show. I don't think this is a fantastic show, but I'm very glad it was made. And I'm glad that they gave Anthony Mackie and Sam some room to grow. Sebastian Stan as Bucky is wonderful in this as well. He kind of comes to terms with his history and his past, and really roots for Sam. Even though they have this bickering back and forth, he really roots for Sam. And he, there was never a tug and pull of, I was Steve's best friend, I should have the shield, which I think is a very smart, and I'm glad they never went that route. But nonetheless, we are getting reports that a Cap 4 is in development now with Sam as Cap, which I'm all for. I very much believe that he, like I said, he should have been the new Cap, and I'm glad that they let him flesh out his own story in this show over 6 episodes to really become Cap, rather than just he get the shield and he's just Cap. So I'm glad that they did that. If nothing else, this show really gave Sam room to grow and become the man he's supposed to be. So I'm sure I skipped over some stuff. This is getting a little longer than I wanted to. I know I said that earlier. I'm going to shorten this up. Let me know what you think about the show. We had a cool cameo from Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Lady Hydra. There are some interesting pieces of what kind of evil could be coming from Marvel, in terms of, at least of on the ground. WandaVision was very much a mystical and magical adventure. Loki seems to be a time-traveling, time splicing type of a show coming up. This one was more boots in the ground, grounded here on planet Earth, and not some type of a mystical, magical situation going on. But with that, there could be some interesting ways they go about evil villains within Marvel going forward that are not necessarily magical, mystical, galactic type people. So again, I'm kind of rushing here towards the end, but I wanted to get my thoughts out on this. I really enjoyed the show. Great Cap, great kind of ending and beginning for Sam Wilson and the role of Captain America. I will be working on some other reviews and some other discussions going forward. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the show, this video. Again, I appreciate you stopping by. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and hope to see y'all in this near future. Peace.